All right, good evening, everyone, to the Monday, January 13th, City of Farmington, Michigan Planning Commission. Could we have a roll call, please?
Crutcher.
Present.
Gray.
Here.
Cometzo.
Here.
Manti.
Here.
Perot.
Here.
Westendorf. Majoris.
All right, thank you very much. Next on the agenda, the approval of the items of the consent agenda from our last meeting. We missed December. So our previous meeting was November the 11th of 2024. Do we have any questions, comments, concerns, edits for the November agenda? No. All right, seeing none, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve minutes, consent agenda from previous meeting.
Support.
Motion made and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, approval of tonight's agenda. Do we have any comments or questions concerning tonight's agenda from staff or commissioners?
No.
All right, seeing none, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I'll support.
Motion made and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Item number 4, election of officers. As everybody knows, we have 3 separate officers. We have a chairperson, vice chairperson, and secretary for the Planning Commission. And we've all been together quite some time. We're short a couple tonight. Do we have any, before any kind of nominations, do we have any comments or concerns or questions about the roles that everyone's in? I know we're short a couple, but. So the way that we usually handle this is there's a nomination for each role, and then a second of the nomination, and then we vote across the board, and then we move to the next, and off we go. So for the,
Before we.
Yes, sir.
I mean, is there anyone who, or for getting nominations, if there's no one, I guess what point? We come in and if no one wants to take a position or no one wants to step down, can we move to keep the officers from last year into next year? At what point do we do that?
yeah, is there any issue with just pulling it forward to 2025?
There's no issue with electing the same officers
Okay.
that are currently serving.
Okay.
If we do have an opportunity, if somebody who's an officer, if they don't want to continue to be an officer, just to stay so otherwise.
Well, we've got 2 out of 3 in person tonight, so.
So can we assume that Dan is accepting his position, moving on, as secretary, with him not being here?
You could nominate and someone could support him and you could all vote for him.
Oh,
Yes, he could come in and say, wait a second. But
Or I was like, can I move, in lieu of that, can I move to accept existing officers to remain in office for the next term? Can I make that motion?
yeah, make that motion.
All right, motion made and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. All right, item number 5, unfinished business. The first point is the master plan update. And
Sure. So as reported at our last meeting, OHM was chosen as the consultant to help us with our master plan, our downtown master plan, and our Parks and Rec master plan. We're working on a contract with them currently. It should be signed by the end of this week. Their first meeting for this whole process is going to be Tuesday, January 26th. We're all going to meet on that day and start going over the administrative topics. We do have a listing of phases that this project will take place in. There'll be 5 phases. I passed out a sheet that I put together that describes those phases and just gives you a general idea for when things will be happening as part of this process. We'll post this on the website for people once the website gets developed. This is just a rough sketch of things that will happen. But the first phase, which will happen in February and March, is really kind of an internal phase where we come up with a communications and engagement strategy. OHM starts collecting data and reviewing all of our current plans, and then it's going to create a website that's going to coordinate the whole project and come up with communication materials for the public. So that's all kind of internal for February and March. Starting April, May timeframe is when they'll really take a look at Farmington-specific conditions, where things are at now, and start getting an idea of what should be put together in the final document. Then really where the community will start coming in is in June through August. That's when a community survey will go out. Our consultant will be meeting with small groups that to solicit their input, different, maybe it's brokers, maybe it's local businesses, that sort of thing. And then also there'll be a large community workshop that people can come in and provide their feedback. Then going into August through November is the phase 4, which is developing the plan, where they'll be working on putting together the document and analyzing specific areas to concentrate on for the development of the city. We have a pretty good idea of which areas of the city are going to be focus areas. That will really be the eastern side of town going down Grand River and Orchard Lake. So there'll be specific call-out areas for those locations. And then phase 5, which will happen December through January, there'll be another public outreach to show what's been come up with to date and get feedback from the public, and then finalizing the plan. So it's about a year-long process with, again, the community really getting involved in the June through August timeframe.
That's great. Very good. All right, thank you for the additional information and the update. Do we have any, I'm sorry, any comments or questions for staff? Master plan update?
Nope.
All right. And then capital improvement update, is there any additional information for that?
Yeah, so we had our first meeting of the steering committee that helps the planning commission put together the document. We collected information from all the different boards and commissions and department heads, and put together a list of new projects to add to the plan, totaling about 20 new projects, totaling about $16 million. And then also recognizing the completion and the removal of about $9 million of projects. So we got quite a bit done in the last year, and we can report on that at a future meeting. And so we've got 2 more meetings that we're going to be working on the capital improvement plan, and it should come a draft of that either in February or March to the Planning Commission for their review.
Okay, great. Any questions for staff for considering capital improvement? All right, seeing none. All right, item number 6, new business. Annual report for 2024.
So for a number of years now, we put together an annual report for the Planning Commission. What you have in your packet is the 2024 annual report, and it just summarizes all the different things that the Planning Commission has addressed over the 2024 calendar year. It's just, a really nice tool to get to track all of the things that the Planning Commission has done. A lot of times you're trying to look back and say, like, okay, when was this decision made or that project got off the ground? So there's a 1 or 2 page annual report for each year where you can, find those projects. So you don't have to go through each packet. You can just go to this annual report and see what's been done.
Yeah, I really like these because for that exact fact is, when we're, talking with our neighbors and stuff like that and fielding questions and things like that, just because we say, we vote and approve on something, it doesn't mean that the shovels go into the ground the next day.
Right.
And we've had plenty of business that have come across our plates that never comes to light. So, 'cause sometimes we just get contractors that just put the feelers out there and then they decide to go do something else or whatever. So these are really handy. So it's yeah, I appreciate these. Pretty good. Good. Any comments or questions from commissioners concerning the 2024 annual report?
Yeah, I do have a question. Is there a required number of meetings that the planning commission needs to have per year?
I'm not aware of a required number. As long as there's business, we'll have a meeting, and if there's not, we do not need to meet.
All right, thank you.
All right. Seeing no further questions, we can move to item number 7. Do you have an update on any current development projects around town?
Sure. So for instance, where this annual report came in handy is we have some work going on Grand River. I don't know if everyone's noticed, but Los Tres Amigos is doing work on their patio. And I was going to report the date that that was approved by the Planning Commission, and I went to these annual reports to track it down.
you
and
go.
It happened, they came here in April of 2021.
2020, jeez.
It
Yes.
was 2 years ago. We thought it was 2 years ago.
Wow.
Yep.
I
And
told you, our memories are worse than we think they are. I'm telling you.
it was, COVID hit and kind of put a break on that project, and now they're picking it up again. So,
Yeah, that's great.
And they don't have to come back through for the approval again? There's no expiration on our planning approvals?
is that not deemed necessary because they're not making any changes?
I mean, even if there's no, so you have to make changes, otherwise you don't have to come back. There's no expiration.
I could look into that. I don't know the answer to that.
I'm just curious, I know Detroit does have a time frame if you get approval from planning commission.
Expiration date?
There's an expiration date for your approval. I just don't know if just curious if we had it or not.
Yeah. I'll check into that. I'm not aware of that, but
I think as long as they didn't change it, they stay within the scope. Yeah.
That makes it easy.
Yeah, it does make sense to have expiration dates too, though, especially on some of the projects in Detroit, geez.
Well, I mean, just in general, I don't know if we want to have expiration dates for like Tres Amigos because of what happened. If we had an expiration date, they'd have to come back.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't have make any changes.
Yeah.
What if the city made changes, though? We're only thinking of the applicant
It's true, yeah, if
That's-
the
What
if the
ordinances
ci-
change,
That's
Yeah.
a good point.
between that time.
yeah, how do you rectify things?
so I think they came back to get their permits through the our building official, and so I think if there was a concern at that time, the building official could have directed them back to the planning commission if there was some change in circumstance that.
Yeah, like an ordinance change or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Seems like that could get sticky if they have approval and they're ready to move forward and something in the city changed that makes their project difficult or forces them to have to make changes. I could see that might get,
Yeah, is there any kind of safeguard that's in our documents that states that these are approved, but you must be compliant with ordinances when you break ground, or how, there's gotta be some kind of verbiage that would cover the city.
well, I mean, this is a good example of, we could have made changes to the ordinance regarding what goes on Grand River. And they're approved, and now what they're trying to do isn't
Yeah?
acceptable anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, a facade feature or something along those lines, yeah.
Then what do? They have to come back? Right. If we don't have an expiration, we don't have any way for them to not do what they were already approved to do.
That's a good theoretical question. I'll take a look at that.
Yeah. All right, so that's one. Do we have any other?
So we have Mason's Corner. I think everybody's seen the progress that's out there. That's getting close to being a completed project. They're working on the gas lines that are going to connect the main art feature. That's a fire feature, so that should be done probably by the end of this week or next. And then there's the plantings, which will go in the spring, and pretty much we'll be having a grand opening of the park fairly soon.
Now that tract of land that runs, it would be from Farmington Road back to this end of, is it Memorial Park?
Memorial Park would be the
Where
corner
Oakland and
where the
Farmington come together?
World War I monument is.
Yeah, so that's a city park, is that city property all along that?
Memorial Park is city property. the city got a lease from the Masons for the corner at Grand River and Farmington.
Okay.
We probably have a little bit of right of way, but there was a substantial amount of their land that they gave us a 99-year lease to
Okay.
build the park on.
Yeah, so we're responsible for maintenance and,
Yes.
so it's, yeah, it's just a continuation of it. Okay. Okay.
In fact, I think we had a lease that was existing for part of it, and then we designed the park and wanted more space, and they were, very nice in allowing us to sign a lease for additional space to
Okay.
bring that park to fruition.
Good deal. We do an awesome job taking care of parks and public property, so for a small town, I think we should give ourselves a pretty good pat on the back. Those guys do a great job,
Absolutely.
year-round.
And we keep adding to them, so our DPW director is very accommodating.
Chuck's got broad shoulders.
Chuck has very broad shoulders. For sure.
Good deal.
Just a few other things to report. Our Pathways Committee has been looking at crossings of Grand River. We walked from Halsted all the way down past Orchard Lake, so the whole length of Grand River, and thought about different points where crossings, might be helpful to the public, and came up with a number of them. And a survey was sent out to collect community feedback, and very shortly, we had over 350 responses.
Oh, yeah.
Which is-
There's- Yeah.
Amazing for a survey to get that kind of community feedback so rapidly, along with 175 or more written comments in the feedback. So people are really interested in that. And that definitely will pass all that feedback on to our master planning committee and have that analyzed as part of the master plan process.
Was the DDA involved in that conversations?
The DDA became involved. Unfortunately, there wasn't the best communication between those groups. But the DDA has boosted out that message through their channels now as well. I'm getting feedback that way.
I know there's, with the Maxfield development, there's plans for the connector park. And one of the things that came up in discussion about it was the crossing Grand River at Grove Street.
Yeah.
So if they're looking at it as a pathways thing, that's probably something that should be looked at. Or at least that should be part of the conversation with the Pathways Committee.
A lot of it had to do with areas outside the downtown. There's a lot of options, although most of the feedback from the residents had to do with the crossroads within the downtown. But really it was, as you head out downtown east, there's really not many places to cross Grand River from the downtown all the way to, there's one crossing on one side of the street at Power Road and then the Orchard Lake crossing. So there's not a lot of good options there. And then heading west out of town, there's no crossing by the mansion, there's no crossing by Women's Park. There's a lot of, you see a lot of traffic crossing Grand River, not at any crosswalk, so. Thinking of that. Now, where to put the crosswalks and how to put them in, that's another challenge because that's not a Farmington road, it's a state road.
State, right, yeah.
And they have a lot of regulations, and the speed limit on Grand River is 45, so it's getting people across the road safely. That's another issue.
It's not 45 out there, though.
You gotta get past the
Yes.
mansion.
It goes 25 to 35 to 45 as you're heading out toward Halsted.
But from Farmington to Shiawassee, it's like 25 right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it increases to 35.
Oh, after,
It's 35 by the mansion. I know we had a complaint on that, so that was another thing that the Pathways
I know that
Committee looked
number.
into. And counterintuitively, if you want to lower the speed limit, you have to have a study done. And maybe you're all aware of what the answer to this is, but if you do the study and you find out that the traffic's moving faster than what the posted speed limit is, then you need to raise the speed limit, not lower it. So it's kind of a tricky situation. So if you think people are going too fast through there, you do the speed study, then you have to raise the speed limit rather than,
I always thought it was slower moving there. Maybe I'm not speeding after all.
yeah.
I'm really thrilled to hear you say that the focus is not just on the downtown, because there's a plenty of residents that I've heard from for years that have said, why is the city only focused on the downtown? Why is all of our money, all of our time and effort, all the volunteerism, this, that, and another thing? I've heard it from people that live in Farmington and people that don't live in Farmington, that they would just, why do they, are the business owners, they have that much control over this? And obviously, that's not the case. But I'm really happy to hear you say that. Because there's a lot of people, like I live down right by where you're saying, is that the one crosswalk on the east end that's right at Power. There's that one, and I've got kids, so I'm very concerned about, crosswalks and stuff like that. So it's really good to hear. I'm really happy to hear that. So, yeah, appreciate it.
Great. Other than that, we've had a couple of ribbon cuttings over the past couple months. We had Talia Salon open and Bijou Salon and Day Spa. We've had a couple of business openings in Joe's Coney Island and Pop-Up Pickleball.
An interesting one.
Has anyone played pickleball there yet?
Every time I go by there's people in there. Yeah.
Joe's Coney Island?
Heading out where the old Panera
Yeah.
Okay.
is open.
They didn't really change anything, so I never came across those.
And we have a couple of businesses that'll be opening in the next couple of months. We have Spruce and Ash opening up in the downtown, Lone Light Spirits late spring, and Sante's still anticipating opening around in springtime. So, a couple of businesses there.
Has there been any update on Peace Tacos?
They're getting pretty close to opening as well. Yep.
Yeah, the sign's up and lit.
Yeah.
Saw that, yeah,
Where's that?
yesterday. That's,
It shares the parking lot with State Farm.
used to be KFC,
Yep.
and then KFC burned, they remodeled, decided not to reopen.
Did see that.
The laundromat.
I'm talking about?
Yep.
Yeah,
See
yeah,
that sign.
yep,
Okay.
yep. And that's the family that owns Rolling Stoves. That's their
Oh, really?
next venture, yeah. Yep. Good people. Yep. Very good, very good.
One last item, we've been talking about parking in the downtown. So we're talking with the MEDC. As a redevelopment-ready community, Farmington has access to resources to help with their planning and development. And we are talking with the MEDC now about them funding a study for our parking requirements in the downtown and doing sort of a benchmarking, best practice review of what our standards are. And that may take place and then come before the Planning Commission at a later date.
Cool. Forward to hear what they have to say. All right. Anything else?
That'd be it.
Other than that, business as usual.
Business as usual.
All right, thanks very much. All right. Seeing that we have no public to comment, we can move on to item number 9, Planning Commission comments. Do we have any comments from commissioners? And/or from staff? Going once, going twice?
Happy 10-year anniversary to Mr. Crutcher.
Oh,
Yeah.
fell off of the
You
camera?
gotta open it up, show it everybody. Look at that.
10 years of
Congratulations.
service.
Years. Seems like just yesterday.
Tell you what, though, several of us, I mean, we've been around, it does go by very quickly, very quickly. So, but I appreciate, I always look forward to getting updates from you, and we greatly appreciate your expertise and value the time and commitment that you do, because obviously, you do much more than just sit on the planning commission, but all your years of experience. So,
Yeah, a couple other things, but yeah. But my pleasure, my pleasure.
good deal, good deal. We appreciate you, man. Okay. Seeing no other comments, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Support?
Motion made and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Good night, everybody.